Okay, I'll have to call up the agenda. I don't have the agenda up right now, so if you could just start with the first item.
Yeah, so we have three hearings, one at 7 for 27 Cider Mill, one at 7:05 for 45 Main Street, and one at 7:10 for 6 School Street, all of which there are no DEP numbers for. So Peter Lavoie was requesting a continuance. So hopefully we can vote to continue all three at the same time. So a motion so that continue would be till March 12th
So moved.
at the same time. So-
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mike, aye.
Paul, aye. Alan, aye.
Sandy, aye.
Marcella, I.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mary, would next item be agent report? Administrator report?
Administrator
Fit in at this time?
report. Okay. Share my screen here. So I had a complaint about 226 Milford Street. Someone complained that they're putting their snow piles in the wetland. I don't think it's exactly in the wetland, but it is near the wetland. Maybe 20, 30 feet off. This is one picture. And then as I was back there, you can see they have a detention basin here that doesn't look like it's been maintained in a long time. There's a white pine line across the edge. And this is the storage facility on Milford Street. And then again, here's another picture of the snow pile. Again, it's, just off the edge of the pavement. And I think about where the footprints are is the edge of the wetland. This was a complaint from someone. I don't know that the board may want to address this, with a letter or something like that. They do not have a lot of room to put their snow piles in this place, but that doesn't mean they should be dumping them right next to the wetland. They don't seem to have, if you looked at their plans, actually I can pull their plans up. They don't seem to have a snow storage area on the plans.
Mary, was there a break in the fence there, or has the fence been damaged? The perimeter?
The fence has a gate which opens up conveniently for snow. So
Is it really that big?
yeah, it may not be. So if you look at the plans, they've been dumping snow in this area. And then kind of in this area here. So
What alternative do they have?
they do not have a lot of room. I mean, they also have piles all along back here. They could have made those piles higher potentially, but that's really their only other kind of recourse. There's not a lot of room.
They must have been doing this for years, though.
Yeah, I think the person, he wanted to complain, so he,
Yeah. No, it's just they've had to deal with this. So, when this was constructed, I guess that wasn't taken into account.
No, it doesn't look like it. So, I mean, it could be, worth a letter for the detention basin, which I didn't actually find the old order. Probably, it's supposed to be being maintained, and they may be supposed to be submitting reports to us.
How long ago was that put in?
Long time. It's like early,
So maybe 20 years?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember.
I remember it
I
being
don't
tight
remember.
at the time.
Yeah. It's tight.
By now, this wetlands have probably been completely destroyed, right? There's probably all kinds of contaminants in there.
Maybe you should write him a letter and ask him to clean out the detention. pond
Yeah, I
In the
don't,
summer,
I
and
don't
then
think, yeah, the snow.
do
doesn't
his
seem to
best
be-
to maybe put a berm up there or something around. Filter off the melted snow or something.
Yeah, I don't think the snow is that big of an issue. It's, you said more than 30 feet away,
Approximately.
okay, and I bet the detention basin, maybe they can get that cleaned up.
Mary, do you think the snow pile is beyond the bounds that are shown on the plan?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
You know,
Yeah, I
I'd
found,
suggest if we send them a letter about the detention basin, maybe just remind them not to push any snow past the bounds. Does that sound reasonable, people? Did you hear what I said, Mary? Everybody
yep,
about the bounds?
yep. Yep, I got it down and see. Chris is here now. And continuing on, we had one person another person finish the hike Upton Challenge. So,
I've got the buttons.
Oh, we
Great.
got buttons. You don't just get an attaboy.
Oh, you get a prize. I'll bring
You
my
get a
EV to drop them by town hall. They're in the car, so. Bill, next time you're at the town hall and it's daytime and somebody's there, you can leave them with Mary if you would.
yeah. I attended a drought resilience workshop today and they were wondering which towns had drought bylaws and I was like, oh, we have that. Also yesterday, had a meeting with Ty and Bond and Bill was there as well. And the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative, and they will be going around town in about a month for 2 weeks, assessing all the culverts in town for their condition and for potential ecological reasons like aquatic passage. And so they're going to kind of rank ones that could really stand to be upgraded, either because they're going to fail or because there would be a large ecological value in upgrading it. And so they do want input from people. So if you have a culvert in mind that you think could really benefit from an upgrade.
When they say culverts, they're talking about streams and stuff, not culverts running from one side of the street to the other.
Like a pipe under the road.
Yeah,
I think they're probably focusing on the larger ones, but
Okay,
if
I
there
just-
was a pipe culvert under the road that was a real problem.
Mary, we talked about this a little bit before. I'd have them look at the Grafton Road, Warrenbrook Grafton Road culvert. And the Warrenbrook culvert that is crosses Mechanic Street, downstream of that culvert. Both of those areas have scour holes to some extent, which can trap brook trout, juveniles as the stream dries out. Another place that may be happening is on West River Road. I think that I've got to double check. I think it's Taft Mill Brook where it crosses West River Road. There's a really sampled there like maybe 15, 20 years ago, and there's a very, very robust brook trout population right just upstream of West River Road. It's just 3 major large culverts to look at.
We have very good news. The assistant planner position has been filled by a woman named Lauren. She's graduating from UMass Amherst in the spring. So won't be officially starting until June. There is some possibility that she might do a little bit of stuff, which I'm hoping, but may not, maybe not. And then the other good news is, went to the Board of Selectmen meeting last night, and it seems like the conservation budget was passed, and this includes our summer land stewardship intern. So far, so good on that. Hopefully, we'll be able to advertise for that soon. And I think it's time for, that's pretty much it. I think it's time for, all right.
Chris, you ready to take it away? You're muted, I think. All right, well, until Chris unmutes.
I'm on.
Oh, great.
on-
Okay,
Around the first meeting.
yes,
Right.
7:15.
Okay, how about, there's intent for, by Orchard Street. Mary, can you please take it away?
Yeah, here's a public hearing notice. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, February 26th, 7:15 PM, a notice of intent filed by Samuel Danis for the construction of a single-family home at Lot 5 Orchard Street. All interested parties are invited to participate.
Who's that about?
Who does that abut? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Hi, Karen Keegan from Allen Engineering, how are you? So this is lot 5, it is, also, assesses map 010, parcel 008. It has 8.81 acres and it goes from Orchard Street to Mechanic Street, where it has a very small, frontage on Mechanic Street. So Mr. Danis would like to put in a 4-bedroom, single-family house, septic system, well, and associated grading. His septic system will be in the front. He has a well also in the front. He is 51.9 feet off the corner of the deck to the edge of the wetlands. He is 31.3 feet off of the 30-foot no disturb buffer. He is 100.1 feet off his septic system to the wetlands. It's a very tight lot. The wetlands were reflagged or checked by McHugh Environmental on December 12th of 2024. So that's just recently. And I also have 5 bounds to be set along the back of the 30-foot no disturb buffer with the Upton place cards, conservation place cards on top of them. But pretty much all this work is outside of the 30-foot no disturb buffer. There is an erosion control limit of disturbance along that area here. Which will be a mulch stock and a silk fence. And all of the stockpiles will be outside of the 100-foot buffer, and there'll be no machinery parked within that 100-foot buffer also. Does the commission have any questions?
I have one, for you. Karen, where is Mechanic Street on your plan?
Mechanic Street is in the back. It's as far back as you can. If you could see the little locust sketch I have. It is the back, and I guess these 2 streets kind of come to a point at one point.
So I've got my cursor on Mechanic Street now,
Right,
Chris.
Right
And
there.
there's Orchard Street, that's next to Orchard. Mechanic
Okay.
Street.
Right.
Thank you.
Very steep there, right?
Yes, it's got a 12.5% slope coming down the, yeah, it's got a good slope.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be building it out. It's got a walkout basement.
Does anyone have other questions?
Is this when the abutters have questions?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, so our questions are, so in the packet, the WPA Form 3, does that refer to the area of impact only, or does that refer to the entire lot?
The entire lot.
Okay, and the form does correctly say that the entire lot is in an ACEC, right?
Yes.
But the letter from McHugh says no part of the area is in the ACEC.
It is.
But the letter says
Yeah,
it isn't.
I saw that too. I think McHugh must have made a
Okay.
mistake. So it is.
We're just wanna make sure everybody's clear on this important detail.
Yeah.
And really related to that, and then also in the packet, it notes that east part of property not investigated. What is?
I'm sorry, say that again?
In the packet,
Yeah.
it says, east part of property not investigated.
Yes, which would be.
All that
this
up
thing,
there.
Yeah,
So what's the plan for that part of the property?
nothing.
Nothing, not
Yes.
touch it
No,
all.
I'm pretty sure they're not gonna do a thing with that.
Okay, all right.
So they could walk
Yeah.
through from
Yeah.
Mechanic Street, is that what you're saying?
If they
Yeah.
wanted to and cross the perennial stream.
Yeah.
Because that stream floods very significantly. I have some pretty interesting video of that if anybody wants to see it. But when that thing floods, it's like 50 feet wide.
But all this work is outside of
Got
that
it.
200
Understood.
foot buffer. It is far away from it. It is 800 feet away.
I'm
You know, from the limit
understood.
of disturbance.
Honestly, all of our concerns are related to the other part of the property, not the so-called area of impact. Area of impact, see the challenges, we don't have issues. Yeah.
All I know is that this side of the Mechanic Street side of it, and I gather it's an uphill to get into it, and then there's not much where you can go. You can't go anywhere once you're into it.
Yeah.
So I don't see that being developed.
Okay,
Just
and
this half of
and
it.
the person that's moving in there also is on the same page, I
I'm
know.
pretty sure, because
Only-
trying to develop that side would be very difficult.
Only concern is like, let's say somebody's like, oh, great, I'm buying this house is approved, it's on Orchard Street, but I have 8 acres. I can't wait to, do whatever down on that other, 6 acres.
Now, that perennial stream is
Yeah.
fairly close on that side.
Okay, all right, yeah,
I mean, like,
I mean, I-
build a barn and.
I can't guarantee anything, because it's
Yeah.
not gonna be my property,
Understood.
but I can say that
Yeah.
it would be very difficult to build,
And that-
anything on it.
They'd have a crossing too. They would have to.
They'd have to, yeah.
Which is,
And so if they wanted to do something, they'd have to come back before this board again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, really the principal concern was that inconsistency where one part of the document says it is in the AC and the other says it isn't. But we all agree it is. Okay, great. Let me
And
just
can I
see.
get your name for the
Oh,
minutes?
John Herendine. Yeah,
Yes.
talk to you.
I just want to jump in, this is Mike, were wetlands on the rest of the property delineated? I seem to remember seeing, some wetlands on a plan, it might have been with the listing, when this property was listed for sale. Can you-
There are wetlands delineated, by whomever delineated them prior to, McHugh going out and verifying the ones that are closest to us or closest.
So wetlands have been delineated on the rest of the property.
Yes, there are flags out. Question.
Is there any way you could submit a plan showing those wetlands, and if you wanna like have a note that, that they aren't verified by you or something like, just so that we can have that in the file, that information? in the
I
file?
do believe I may have some sort of a plan. I could, put something together for you. They were not delineated, nor were they located by us.
Okay,
Okay, but I.
that's fine, yeah,
give you
that's fine,
some.
I mean, you could put a note, but
Okay,
that, I mean, if that information exists, it would be nice to have in the file.
okay.
Thanks.
Do you have any other comments or questions?
I have no idea.
They're just gonna sell it.
Yeah, oh wait, we have someone, just a second, let me get the Zoom person on board here.
John, did you have anything else? I didn't mean to cut you off. I just.
No, I mean, again, it's really all about, you know, does it refer to the area of impact or the whole lot? You know, most of it's about the area of impact. We all agree the whole lot is in an ACEC. My neighbor who couldn't attend had some questions. He said, are there any restrictions on the space behind? You know, that's not, you know, that not investigated. And I would assume, Mike, that relates to what you said, which is there are, because it's, you know, some of it is wetland, et cetera. And then some of it is subject to flooding, et cetera. And it's an ACEC, so there are restrictions. And then he had questions, you know, can they, basically it's all about the rest of the property. He didn't really have any big concerns with the actual project. So that's it, Mike, thanks.
Mike, this is Chris Scott. If you have any questions or you see anything that concerns you, please let us know.
Chris, we have Stephanie Garner on the line with a question.
Okay, Stephanie, please let us know your question.
Okay, oh boy, did I mess up here?
No.
Okay, we're at 170 Mechanic. We are that little sliver at the end. And from what we've seen, at first I was a little concerned, but seeing the plans and everything, and you guys are just doing one house. As long as it's one house, I think you guys are good, and I'd be excited to see some new neighbors.
Who says that?
It's the Gardner girls.
Yep.
Yep.
So that, I guess, no question, it was more just, I mean, the plans are great and I think it looks good. And if you come down through the, you know, the little sliver there, you're gonna meet the goats and the ducks and the geese. That's about all.
Okay, we appreciate you joining us. Any other questions or questions for Stephanie? Same for you. If you see anything that concerns you, please let us know.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, we walk out back all the time because we do tap the trees out there. And I mean, we see the wetland markings and everything, and it's all looks good.
We appreciate your time to attend.
Absolutely.
And Mary, do you have a DEP number for this?
Yes, there is a DEP number. Chris, would you like me to pull up my comments?
Yes, please.
All right. Didn't have too many comments. There is a culvert or a pipe that runs under Orchard Street that's not on the plans, and Karen's gonna.
I do
You put
have,
them on, you got it on there.
So we sent the field crew out this afternoon because I didn't get Mary's comments till yesterday. We did locate the pipe. It runs from this side of the street here because there is a swale that runs down and then crosses the street and just empties out into the lot next door.
So it is the next door lot. I wasn't
Yes.
sure whether, okay, well then
Yep.
maybe it's not an issue, but it's nice to know where it is. And then, and Karen and I talked before the meeting about putting some kind of stormwater management in.
Yes.
Maybe work on that.
Yep.
And the other thing I noted is that there's a lot of bittersweet vines on this property. Some of it in the no disturb and some in the wetland, and just wondering, I mean, there's a lot, but just wondering if the largest vines could be cut. I think the new owners would probably appreciate that too.
You could put it in the order.
Put it
if
in
you
the
want.
order.
Be fine.
It's a nice deer trail going through the property. Bittersweet. And I noticed it is open area. Does anyone know, was this lot before trying to be developed earlier,
I
or?
don't know.
We walk up there. I think that was done as part of prepping it to sale.
Okay, so that was recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We walk on Orchard Street.
Mary,
Yeah.
is that shadow you?
What's that, Chris?
Is that shadow you in the picture?
That is my shadow, yep. It finally got warm enough to go out and look at the lot.
Excellent. Thank you. Karen, do you have the green cards?
Absolutely.
Does Mary have them?
Nope. I never brought it up.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Would you like to close the hearing?
I think we have to wait for, I guess you were gonna do an updated plan. So yeah, the board could decide to close. You have the plan pretty much done or
Except for the stormwater.
except the stormwater.
Yeah.
I think maybe a continued to 2 weeks.
Okay, great. Okay, so what time would you like this on, Mary?
I think we can do a repeat of today's agenda, so it's 7:15.
Perfect. And so do we have a motion to continue this hearing?
Second.
Okay, thank you. 7:15.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Now,
Vote
oh,
on
I'm
it.
good.
Yes.
Do you have anything else to do before 8 o'clock, Mary?
We should just finish the vote.
I'm sorry. Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, I. Sandy, I.
Jen and I.
My God.
Marcella, I.
So we have a unanimous vote of the commission. Thank you, Mary. Sorry for being late.
Nice to have that.
What?
Have a paper plan.
Why?
Because you can
Much
see it better.
easier, much easier to
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Oh,
Have a good night.
have a good night. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you for attending.
Have a good evening.
Okay, so Mary, anything else?
We can do just the financial stuff.
Excellent.
All right, so I have a lot of vouchers.
Money left, drunken sailor.
That's right, we spending money. So this one is, this was for the signs, right, Marcella? I believe this was for the signs. 115, that's one voucher. Yes, that was that.
Vote on all at once?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just show you the other voucher. So this one, this is for myself to go to the MACC conference. Where's the last voucher? And then this one is for Shannon to go to the MACC conference and plowing at Rockwood Meadows, and then our annual beaver control.
I saw a little of that. Was that about replacing things or something?
Right, so there's two things with the beaver, and I can show
I
you
mean,
that.
I haven't looked at those.
Right, so we have an invoice, and then there's two things that he thought ought to be replaced. One is, where is this one? I get them labeled.
Overflow device removal. Where is it though?
So there's two that he wants to do. This one's East Dam.
East Dam.
Where's the first one?
So upstairs, all around the house,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's another meeting, me look.
missing something.
Some,
Install cover, blah, blah.
install a new.
He doesn't
protective
really say,
fence.
does he? He doesn't say.
So it's just reinstall. Protective
Is he-
fence, price includes wood.
Maybe it's in his letter. Let's see.
Yeah, cause I mean, I haven't looked at them, but they, from driving by, they didn't seem like they.
Oh, so first priority being East Dam. And
I
then
think it's,
Southborough Road, Lower Culver.
School capital planning.
So I don't even know what East Dam is.
I think it's school capital planning.
Is that East Dam? Is that Southborough Road too? Is that?
Well, maybe we need to contact with questions. I didn't notice that he, but at any rate, if we decide to do both of these, that goes over our $4,000. They're because they're one's like 1,700 and the other's 1,900.
Well, can we ask him to maybe explain a little bit more what it is?
Oh, you can, I mean, I can call them, I mean, it's not, I looked at the stuff, but I don't, yeah, what, can we, when is this due, like?
So that we can pay for, I think we can pay the invoice. The invoice is, he already did his annual maintenance, so that's the
Okay.
invoice.
So, let's pay what we owe him, and then let me
Think
call
about the
him,
other ones.
and then I can, at the next meeting, I'll tell you what he says, and maybe I'll be able to look at him.
Get a
before-
priority list on it.
Yeah,
It's all
something,
about it.
right,
Oh, maybe this is what, yeah, here he's got it
Something,
listed
yeah.
oh,
out.
yeah, okay.
It says Southborough
Okay,
Road
Old Grafton
upstream
Road, yeah.
needs replacing. And then the lower culvert needs replacing. Okay, so those are the two ones, they're both at Southborough Road.
Is that a
Okay,
culvert under
that's
the
what-
road? Maybe that new culvert thing can,
So the one,
right?
is that the one, Marcella, where you said there's a dead beaver in it?
That sounds, it would be, yeah. Is that beaver still there? I haven't been back.
I don't know, I never saw it, but I remember you saying something about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
But I'm just wondering if there's something wrong with the fence that it would make it try to get through it. So it probably needs to be looked at, so,
It's a good question, yeah.
all right, so why don't I just call him and then we'll, on this other stuff, we'll take it up next meeting.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Thank you. Jan, we have a lot of active beavers in town, especially Southborough Road and also at the state park.
They've been in South for what, 50 years, 100 years?
They've been here since I've moved here, which was over 30 years ago.
I mean, my father used to take us for a ride over there when we were kids to see the beavers.
This is Bill. I have a question about the Amazon.
Yes,
So if those are for the trail markers, there's a bill missing. There were two.
there were two bills.
There's another one for, they total just over $200. So there's another one out there for about 90.
Oh, okay. Oh dear.
Dear, oh dear.
All right. I'll check my email to make sure I didn't miss that.
Well, I can resend it in the morning. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
Can we approve that bill as well?
Yes, you
And
should, because it's going to be delinquent, and I will get a note from Kenny soon.
Can we say that we'll approve all Amazon bills tonight? And we'll
Every
invoice it?
single one.
Okay,
Got a few I could add.
we're approving all Amazon invoices.
As well as the MAC, yeah, we have 3 vouchers. With a few MACC charges and then the plowing and then the Beaver Solutions annual fee.
Can we please approve all of those? Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second,
Do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Tom,
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike, aye.
Excellent. Thank you. All approved. Thank you, Bill, for noticing that.
Yes, thank you, Bill.
Okay. Any other things to approve, Mary? For finances?
It just, if you want to look at the balance sheet. I don't think there's anything terribly, our expense fund is going down slowly, but still there. And that would be what we have left in the Beaver account,
2400.
24, so we could pick one of those.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna talk to them and then maybe
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it myself, because from the road, they seem fine.
Right.
I mean, I don't care if they rusted.
Right.
So we'll just see if they're, if they're broken or something, which, like I said, we don't want critters getting stuck in them either, so.
No.
Tom,
What
I
happened?
was just thinking about, it was a little, east-west was a little confusing. Those 2 beaver deceiver things are actually north and south.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the culverts though, isn't he? As
Well,
far as-
it's hard to tell. It was hard to tell, but.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to him.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
I'll find. Next meeting, I'll bring it up.
What happened to the beaver at Pratt Pond?
I believe they trapped them out, I thought. I thought the Mike trapped them out,
Okay, thank you.
but I'm not sure. I know I think they're still active upstream. Off of, what is it, Hartford Ave or whatever.
The beaver chewed a tree right near where you stop at the intersection.
Probably trapped, I'm not sure. Again, with the ice, we'll have one anyway, they'd be under ice.
Thank you, Tom.
Mary, this is, oops, can you put that back up? Sorry.
That's okay.
So what was the land stewardship revolving fund? What were those expenses? And that just looks weird that, and then I don't know where the revenue would have come from.
I think the 8,000 was, this had to do with it, isn't this had to do with the Mechanic Street property?
Oh, right, never mind. Okay, so that's the SVT contribution. That all makes sense now. Okay,
Okay,
thank you. Thanks.
yeah, it looks like a lot of money going in and out of there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Slush fund.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, and so that, I think, is it on bills. I did have a few other things on the agenda, or just one other thing, I guess. Under discussion items. So you guys had been getting the Northern Woodlands subscription. There had been 2 copies you guys were getting, both by the Land Stewardship Commission, and they don't on the same date. So one of them is expired, one expired in November. And I wondered whether you guys wanted to, keep both of them or just continue on with one.
I'd like to keep the one here, I like reading.
Okay.
I think it's a nice magazine.
Yeah, so when there's 2, you actually get 2 paper magazines. And I have been putting it on the web. Does anyone look at those?
I don't look on the web.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't
Or
like,
some
I don't like
other-
reading on
Yeah.
the computer.
But if anyone else, yes, I don't think it's that expensive, so I can just renew the other one, so you guys can continue to have 2 copies coming in.
Shannon, have you been able to see those?
No, I didn't know about them. I'll have to take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
Shannon,
great.
I email you the link, because they're all the old copies are in the Google Drive, if you want to look at them online.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, and then one thing that I forgot to put in the agent report was there was a complaint about activity on 29 Mechanic Street. But I don't know that it's worth pursuing. No, Mike,
Where is 29 Mechanic Street?
it's pretty close to the bottom. It's on the riverside.
Is
It's
it
near
near
Dodds,
140?
down near Dodds.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I guess the property changed hands and
Yeah,
there was some concern about tree cutting, which they're not sure that there was any trees cut, but
just down the hill from the Dodds, the next house down.
Down the hill, meaning towards 140 or?
Yeah, down the hill.
Okay.
yeah.
Up the hill would be my way.
All I know is.
But they have put some trailers in, kind of back,
Okay.
so. Which I'm not sure if it's in the riverfront area or not.
Okay.
Mary, the other part of that complaint or that was made, I actually took it and passed it on to Mary, was ATV use potentially along that strip of land along Warren Brook. It might be worth going out there, when the snow's gone, to see if there's any damage that can be discerned. And I was wondering, Bill or Mary, do you know the status of the tax taking, the Kibbe tax taking?
There's been no action since 2018.
Mhm.
The last action was putting them on notice that they were attempting to foreclose.
So I'm just curious, what's the next step there? And who's is it?
Well, so I don't know anymore. I mean, the next step would be to foreclose. And then the owner would get a letter saying your rights of foreclosure have been, I forget the term, eliminated. But typically, the courts will allow them for up to a year after that.
Mhm.
However, all of the rules about foreclosing on property have changed. And I don't know whether or not, and I was going to call the treasurer about this, whether or not this property would be subject to the new rules, which would require us to go through a process of attempting to get us, basically a process, which would probably involve an auction. And then if there were any proceeds in excess of what was owed, those would be paid to the owner.
Mm.
So, but in this case here, the land has no value except for as open space. So, but and like I said, I have to talk to the treasurer to find out if it has to go through basically the process of being auctioned off.
Okay, thanks. Could you please do that? Just maybe get an update. It's the detention basin lot too, I imagine, right? As well as the strip along the brook.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But is the detention basin subject to a conservation restriction? Because there are 2 conservation restrictions.
I don't know.
I'll have to look at that as well, because that land clearly can only be used for whatever it's being used for now, if that's the case.
Yeah, it doesn't, that detention basin, if I remember, it doesn't have a lot number. It was never envisioned as a buildable lot.
Right, yeah, it has a lot number, but it was never envisioned as a buildable lot. That is correct.
Bill, would the town be notified if there was a tax taking on that property?
the tax taking is a town activity.
Okay, so we would know.
Oh, well, if the question is whether or not the Conservation Commission would know, not necessarily, the treasurer would have to let us know what actions she was taking.
How would we have her let us know that?
We can just ask her to let us know if she ever takes another action. I mean, we'd eventually see what was recorded at the registry.
Is that something that you would let us know, Bill?
Yes, I look at what's recorded at the registry virtually every day.
Okay, thank you. We're so a lot fortunate.
That's helpful.
So, do we have anything else to discuss at this point?
No, the only remaining thing is the stormwater discussion, I think.
So it's not a posted meeting, so we could start that now if you'd like.
We do have the open space and land stewardship committee updates. We haven't done that yet.
Okay, how about the open space?
Okay, from an open space perspective, there's been no discussions with the owners of the Wildwood land. However, the town manager did ask the lawyer, town council, to look at the easement deed to provide an opinion on whether or not it includes access over the railroad. When I first talked to the council, she said that they may do a title search as part of that, which would be great because there is a piece of 9-acre part of that parcel where the title is, in my judgment, a little cloudy. So hopefully she's going to go ahead and do that. The appraisal for the Fay Mountain Road property is due by the end of March. So we should be seeing something soon on that. And I don't have any other updates on the other projects we've been working on. I do know that the owner of some land off of Riverdale and Puddin Road in Northbridge offered to sell the land, asked the town if they were interested in purchasing it. So I don't know if the Conservation Commission wants to make a recommendation on whether or not we should pursue that. But if you do, this would be a good time to do it, I think.
Do you have a description of that, Bill?
Was that?
Do you have a description of what's being proposed to be sold?
Yeah, so there's it's a parcel of land which is landlocked. It's off of West River Street. It's on the old Riverdale Road, which is what it was called in Upton, and the Puddin Road in Northbridge. There's 1 acre, it's a 13 or 14 acre parcel, and 1 acre in Upton and 13 acres in Northbridge. Mike communicated with the Northbridge Conservation Commission, and there it is. In any case, and they have decided not to pursue it.
We can't buy land in Northbridge.
Want it right up?
Yeah, well,
Actually-
Is this the right spot?
No. Must be.
Oh.
There we go.
This one.
That road there, yeah. So that's the old Riverdale. No, farther north.
Oh, keep going. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so
This
it's got
parcel.
0 right there, yeah. The planning board met last night and decided not to recommend pursuing it. And let me back up though. Northbridge felt that it was not going to be used for anything anyway, except open space, because there's nothing, you can't get to it. So they did say they would accept a donation, apparently. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So Bill, is this in chapter 61? Is that?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not. Okay. So
So it's surrounded on three of the four sides by up to state forest land. So that's a party that might have some interest in it. And as long as the town doesn't have any interest in it, I'm happy to bring it after consulting with the owners, making sure they don't object to my bringing it to the attention of DCR. I'll contact the land acquisition specialist for our area and see if they have any interest.
That's a good idea.
Does anyone have any questions or comments about that? I agree, it's a good idea. On the map,
Well, go ahead, sorry.
see, where is the state forest?
The state forest is all that green.
Okay. Excellent.
Well, I'd make a motion that the commission does not recommend pursuing the parcel in Upton, but we do suggest that Bill contact the owner and recommend that that the DCR consider acquiring the parcel.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have a voice vote?
Just try over here.
Are we talking about the spot where Mary's cursor is? Right.
Just need to vote on it, right?
Yes. Chris, aye.
Aye.
Sandy, I.
Jan and I.
Marcella, I.
My God.
Unanimous vote of the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm all set.
Thank you.
That I'll, sorry, Bill.
That's okay.
Missed the being home.
Yeah.
I can't hear me snoring.
How about Lynch? Lynch, sure.
I can speak to land stewardship. I think couple things. One is, Mary, maybe you could help out here. There's a potentially some Boy Scouts interested in doing some volunteer work. And
Yes.
I had suggested to Mary that there's a short boardwalk on the Robertson property that might be like, a half-day project by a scout troop. And they could do that once the snow melts, basically. I don't know, Mary, did they respond back with that?
No, they didn't. I know they were looking for, there was two of them and they were looking for like 3 or 4 hours of work. I assume. So, yeah, she never got back to me. It's something more interesting than cleaning up trash. So I think this will qualify.
We probably have the lumber, so.
Yeah.
It would be.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice too, because one of the things on the email said that the scouts might be looking for Eagle projects in not too distant future, and there's an Eagle project at Robertson's too that you could really benefit from. And the other thing is, Mary and I talked with town council about the Robertson Trail Bridge, and town council was going to begin to figure out what we need to do to get bid document prepared. That's it. I think that's all I have for land stewardship.
Okay. Anyone else have land stewardship questions or comments? I know that's gonna get busier once the snow melts. Okay, thank you, Mike. Okay, so are we ready for stormwater permitting discussion?
Yeah, I think we can do it. It's actually 8 o'clock now too. All right.
Wow, good.
Yeah. I'm gonna just pull up the kind of the checklist for you guys to look at. So this is what was recommended and included in the regulations as a checklist. So this would go for any disturbance more than 20,000 square feet, which is approximately half an acre. What they would have to do is a stormwater management plan, a narrative, plans, and this would include the calculations.
Can you make it bigger?
Oh, sure, go ahead, I'll do that.
Oh my.
And just for you to think about, so on this Orchard Street project, I asked her to put stormwater in, and what I think she's gonna do is she's just gonna put a Coltech in, but she's not gonna actually go through all the calculations, I think they have an estimate. But like, for example, but for a bigger project, they would have, an inch thick of calculations that they run through to make sure that that it has the proper capacity. So that it would require the full calculations, which we typically, on a larger project, the planning board gets these reviewed by an engineer to make sure that they're done right. It also would require soil mapping and test data. And then the Mass DEP checklist for stormwater. Okay, so for Mass DEP, you have to do a stormwater report on, parking lots, projects like that, any kind of subdivision, but if it's a single family house, it's usually not required. Okay, but for under our new bylaw, it would require it. So that's the part that to me seems maybe slightly onerous. And now I know that I was trying to look at what is actually required under the MS4. And I don't believe that piece is actually required. It's included in this model bylaw. And the other thing they would have to do is erosion sedimentation control plan. That seems very reasonable. And that was part of our, the old bylaw that we had. We required that. Operation and maintenance plan. If you have a, like a Coltech, that would be appropriate to have that. I think makes sense. So this is just that I just keep looking at the calculation, requiring the calculations on basically all single family houses. And then if you do that, I don't really have the technical expertise to review them. We'd have to, hire an engineer to review all these.
Do you think it's necessary?
Well, I don't necessarily think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, and there may be. Is there any way to make it as something we could ask for if we felt it needed it?
Right, like for example, like I keep thinking of 0 Tyler Road, if you guys remember, extremely steep driveway. That one could have used calculations.
Well, that's my point, because I think most single family homes don't need it, but
Right,
there may be times where it is important to have it, so it would be nice if we felt it needed it, that they could do it, that they were compelled to do it. But I don't think, we need it for every single family home.
How would we decide who does and who doesn't? Would we leave that up to you?
well, yeah,
Well,
that's another good question.
Well,
Yeah,
my thought would be, if you're out there looking at it, you would then give us your opinion and we could look at it and there are maps, if it's steep or there's certain wetland, whatever. I mean, I can't even think of all the different reasons we might need it, but
right,
if you need it, you need it. But I don't think we should be making everybody do it because every now and then there's going to be a home that needs it.
Right, I agree with you. I'm just wondering, how do we know when and when not?
Well, I think it should be left, that decision should be left
Case
to
by
us,
case.
yeah, case by case basis, yeah, discretion.
Like a box to check off if we want it or don't want it or something.
right.
It's tricky legally
It
though,
is
that's
tricky,
the
yeah.
problem, because then. it's
No,
arbitrary.
I understand that, but, I mean, I don't think, if it had to be one or the other, I would say no. Because almost none of the homes would need it. But there are times when it might, so. I don't know, that's my opinion on it, just our discretion.
So
On
who
whether or
would
not,
we,
and I agree
who would
with
we
you.
ask? Their engineer, ask them if their engineer would,
Well, the homeowner, you ask them,
would
they have
the,
to do
the
it,
homeowner's engineer,
or the builder or whomever.
if we put the onus on them,
Well, how expensive is it for them to run the calculation?
Well, yeah, that's a good question.
Cause if, you know, you may not want to, you may not have the expertise, we may not want to actually review it, we just take it. This is what they're saying, and then if something were to happen, we go back and say, well, you weren't truthful here, or you were inaccurate.
Right, right.
But if it's not very expensive and it's fairly simple for them to punch it through a tool, then it's okay to just have it, just an extra piece of data, and then if something goes wrong, then we can go back and say, hey.
Right, well, I guess that's, you know, we could approach a few, a few engineers and say, how much do you charge for doing this?
Cause I mean, if they do it as part of their standard design, they say, yeah, no one ever asked us for this, but we could add it on, cause, you know.
Right, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, when we were reviewing.
we
What
should have asked that engineer that was
Okay,
here.
okay, yeah. This came up actually when we were reviewing a septic system on Crockett Road and the neighbor was complaining about the runoff. And the engineer said, oh, I'm just gonna put this dry well in, and the neighbor's like, well, did you run the calculations on that? And he said, no, I didn't, because that would cost my client this much, but I know that it's gonna be big enough, or whatever, just because I'm an engineer and I see this stuff all the time. I didn't run the calculations.
So it is a
It is
substantial
expense.
cost.
But I think.
No, we don't know.
But right, I think
He
it's
said-
definitely, I should definitely
Okay.
contact a few engineers and say, you know, what does this actually cost to do all these different
What do
things?
other towns do?
Yeah, I did kind of look at a few other towns.
Cause you
And
know,
not
we're
everyone, I
reinventing
think
the
that-
wheel here, I'm sure they have this.
Well,
problem
and
too.
we could also play with the threshold, the 20,000 square feet. I think some other towns, a 20 is a little bit low, I think. I think a lot of people go for the 1 acre as a threshold.
Yeah, I was
for
gonna
doing this.
say, 20,000, that's, my septic system is more than 10,000 square feet.
Right. Yeah, so that, yeah, and I think
So if
that.
the house lot was over an acre, we would require it if it were.
No,
disturbance,
Disturbance.
Yeah,
Not the size, the size of the disturbance.
and that's what the bylaw that we just got rid of, that's what that was. It was an acre was our threshold for this kind of stuff. That's what it used to be.
Unless that wasn't working.
We just weren't really enforcing it very much. And it didn't, and it didn't, now there were some things that we had to update for MS4. And our old bylaw didn't address those. It had to do with some of the pollutants and stuff like that.
Mike, are you aware of the cost of any of this stuff?
Sorry, I tried to unmute myself. No, not really. I can't.
I was
Yeah,
just
so
curious.
I guess that would be, it'd be good to know how much we're making people,
Yeah, because I'm not looking to kill them for nothing, like.
right?
just-
Especially since under the Wetlands Protection Act, you're not required to do all this stuff for notice of intent. And we could change that, we could change our wetland bylaw and make people do that. And that's one reason I've been asking people to put a little stormwater on their project, just to be a little bit consistent, like that, for this orchard, she had no stormwater on that Orchard Street house, there was nothing. And I'm not sure how much a single family house always needs it.
But don't you think every lot has a wetland nearby should consider it?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, if they can put a few Coltex in and, drain all that roof drainage, to collect all the roof drainage, that would be great. Yeah, and that's what she's planning on doing for the Orchard Street lot.
Would the planning board know how much that costs?
I can ask Mike if he knows. I mean, he knows how much the review that they have for the reviewing, because then the planning board pays an engineer to review all the calculations. Like, for example, that 169 South Street, that's a relatively small development. Um,
And they're
interesting, yeah.
And they're doing it.
They had to because it was a new subdivision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's not a single family house, that's a whole development.
Right,
that's a whole development.
okay.
Yeah, and then the other, if we can talk about the prices too. I actually came up with this, so this is not what's in the law, this is what my recommendation, so they have $500 for the lower level one, which is 1,500 square feet to 20,000, okay? And they had $1,000 for the 20,000 and up, so this was my recommendation, to make it 100 for the little one. And then 500 first, and I don't know whether we want to have two tiers or not, but. It was thinking if it was a small project, just like a single family house, 500 would be livable, but if it's a big one, you might want to charge more.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think leave the 3.
yeah, if you're disturbing more than 2 acres, it's quite a project, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be interesting because this 0 Puddin Street is gonna fall under that. You know,
Yeah.
she's only supposedly building, you know, a house or two, but she's disturbing 5 acres.
Oh, yeah.
That's big.
So maybe we can, unfortunately, I think the fees fall under the regs because they're specifically mentioned in the regs. So actually, I'd like to change the regs so that we can come up with fees without having to do a public hearing.
Right.
Right.
But if you guys agree with these. for
Greater
now-
than 2,
Yeah, I agree with that.
greater than 2 acres. What if it's 30 acres? Is $1,000 gonna cover it?
Yeah.
Well, if it's really big like that, if it's 30 acres, it's going through, we won't end up,
Right.
it'll end up going through the planning board.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So we wouldn't have to review it. And then I guess it'd be pretty unlikely for a really big project to have no wetlands. It's possible to do it,
There'd be one in Upton,
right?
yeah. That's what you think is logical, and that's okay.
Yeah,
with me.
that seems reasonable to me.
I'm dealing with it.
All right,
Do we
so
Should we vote on that, Mary, or wait?
we might want to vote on
Fine.
the fees or and then I'm still gonna research just how much it costs to do the stormwater, get some information from engineers.
We take a motion on the fee part.
So moved. Second,
So voice vote, Chris, I.
Alan,
Alan,
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Micah,
Shannon, I.
Okay, yeah, so it was the commission on the fee portion.
So just to summarize, it seems like you guys were okay with bumping up that threshold to maybe an acre, potentially, that was one idea.
right,
And also look into how much it actually costs people to do the calculations.
Not supposed to be concerned with money. Only protecting the well,
It's true.
we do.
just
protect
had to
the well.
say that,
You should do it for nothing.
yes. We're doing it for nothing.
Well, yeah, that's true. We are.
Yeah, I discovered some commissions, they get a stipend, you know, some towns.
I've heard of that, yeah.
$200 per year or something.
Mhm.
I don't think that's gonna happen here, but.
No, not here. Taking money away from everybody at work.
Yeah.
Enjoy it to get paid. Enjoy it for the lovely.
camaraderie.
Yes. Camaraderie.
And then what do you guys think about that lower threshold? I'll just pull that up. So the easier permit, this administrative land disturbance reviews. So this is for any project that disturbs more than 1,500 square feet, so it's pretty low. That's small. They have to do a narrative, a plan, and it doesn't sound like it has to be engineered, so a sketch plan.
Sounds reasonable.
I think
It
it's
gives us an
Oh, it
opportunity
says
to see.
proposed, including proposed stormwater management.
yeah, if there's any, I would say it wouldn't necessarily be required on a smaller disturbance, depending, it could be though, right? Depending on what it was. And then
Sure.
the nice thing about this is it makes sure that every little project has erosion controls, basically.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody puts an addition on, you have to have erosion controls.
We get, and basically get some eyeballs on all the projects, just,
Right,
trying to slip anything through that's kind of crazy.
We didn't-
right, yeah,
we
so
didn't do
this
any
gets us
erosion
looking at,
controls.
yeah. Yeah. Yep. So that, I think that I don't think it's too much work for them. And I can't remember if this goes before the board no, administrative, you guys don't review this. I think I review that one, and it does not need notification, et cetera. The other one, the bigger level of permitting ends up coming before the board, like a notice of intent does. Yeah, I think that was my main concerns with the stormwater. And I still haven't, I don't think I understand I haven't gone through the law with a fine tooth comb, but those were kind of main concerns. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions from anyone? Thank you, Mary, for reviewing that. So we want to pass on to us until you get information.
Yes, we'll add that back to the agenda once I have some more information.
Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, Mary, thank you so much. So you put that on.
I have a question.
Oh,
Mary, do you know of any towns who have a fee for their agent to inspect a property?
Oh, yeah.
That the landowner pays to have it inspected so that each time somebody came out.
Yeah, I think there are towns that do that. And we considered it in Webster, actually. Here, I feel like I'm not so swamped that I can't make a site visit. Although, like, for example, for the trees, whenever someone wants to remove a tree, I usually go out and look at it.
I'm just thinking, how
We
much
could
is
be-
that? That's a half hour,
It-
the
it
minimum,
is.
the
Yeah,
minimum.
we could easily, and I've been wondering if we want to formalize that process a little more, like at least have like a little tiny form that they fill out right now,
Form and a fee.
like $25 or whatever you guys think.
Well, I think for every tree it would be. I'm just wondering about inspections.
Yeah, it's
So,
true.
I don't know about trees. So I feel like if I wanted a tree cut down and I knew I was going to have to pay $25 to get you out there for an opinion, that might not make me too happy.
Right, that's true. Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I'm just thinking about being in a town.
I think we do about 10 or 15 at least tree inspections a year, at least, maybe more.
Well, that's not true.
It's not too, I mean.
But I think that, to go out, how many times you have to go out and inspect a property.
Well, especially like if it's Cobbler's Creek and this is happening and they their erosion controls are in bad shape and they haven't been doing their SWIP reports. And when they do their SWIP reports, it's like, no problems, no problems, no problems. It's like, did you guys actually look at this?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's something we could,
I just thought, if that's something others are doing, the size of the town, maybe figure out if that's something we would do. It would be certainly, help out with, salary.
right, that's
You know,
true, yeah.
Could we, for some future subdivision, could we add that as a condition? To require, payment for inspections?
Oh, for example, if I'm looking at the inspecting erosion controls.
Yeah, I think that.
That
I'm
that
more
seems
comfortable with
reasonable
that.
with that.
I'm more comfortable with that, putting it up front.
Yeah.
For, for bigger projects, I'm good with that, I'm not necessarily excited about that for a single family home or
Oh,
something.
right, yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to like one inspection fee, at the end, when you think you're done, or if you have to go out repeatedly,
Right,
I don't know. I like Mike's idea, that's more,
Yeah, what Mike just said, I
that
think
would
is a
help you
good
with the
idea.
Cobbler's Creek. People.
And also, it might get them to do things more often, because you gotta keep checking it.
right.
Every time you walk through there, the cash register is.
I know. I know.
So on the other hand, too,
We
they
don't-
might
we don't
be
think-
wanting to know if you're coming out every week, when's your inspection day?
Right,
So I don't know if that's something you wanna be dealing with either,
Well, you
Yeah.
wouldn't have to.
You have to think about
you
both
could
ends of this.
Do
I like
it
to
as
try to-
necessary.
I try to show, I try to make it so they don't know when I'm coming.
Yeah, that's
So,
necessary.
right, they should be always ready, right?
Right,
That's.
should be as necessary, you do the inspections as necessary. Yes, as needed, right,
Right,
yeah, I wouldn't put any kind of schedule limitations on it, and it's not like we're gonna charge them $1,000 because you walk into the development, I mean, it's going.
And the fee can go in the wetlands
I don't know
protection
where that
fund,
would go.
because that's where the salaries come, right? They use that for salaries. some of it.
the salaries come out of both the wetlands protection, which is the state money, and the Upton bylaw. I think it would have to go into the Upton
Yeah,
bylaw
let's
fund
put
because,
it in the bylaw fund,
yeah.
because that goes to,
Yeah, I think Mike's idea was a good idea, I
Yeah.
don't know, I have no idea what kind of.
we'll have to think about the
Number.
single family stuff, and see how that
I'm
goes.
not a fan of that, I think we should.
I'm not a fan of
Try
the
to-
tree thing.
Yeah, I think we should be trying to helping people, not necessarily nickel and dime.
Can we give them a range? Like if it's 1 to 5 trees, or 6 to 10, or 11 to 20?
I don't wanna charge them for any of them. Cause it's one tree.
Of
Just one-
trees,
Yeah,
yeah.
just one, you go
Oh,
in there,
trees?
you
No.
were saying, yeah, fine, go ahead.
No, because people won't call, they're gonna have to pay, they won't call.
I agree with not charging for tree inspections,
Not,
we don't want to discourage someone from, not taking down a hazardous tree. That's,
One-
that's needed. So,
mow it down with their truck.
Want them to call rather than not call.
Right, yeah, they won't be calling.
Any other questions or comments? Mary, anything else we should discuss tonight?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, so is this note for tonight for stormwater?
You're late.
Okay,
Yeah.
so does this give you enough information, Mary? About stormwater?
I think so. That gives me enough to get started, I think, and hopefully, in order to change the regs, I have to advertise like 2 weeks in advance, so it'll be probably a month out before we can discuss this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
So,
None. Are we all set with stormwater?
I'm tired of.
Okay.
No.
Anything else for our meeting?
so move.
Okay. So Tom, would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
Hi.
Okay. So your voice vote. Press aye.
Call my, Alan, I.
Yeah.
Marcella, I.
Jane and I.
my God.
Good night,
Excellent.
everybody.